Hi there, my name is Chanel Hollywood, student number 212048858. This is my PowerPoint presentation for Educational Psychology, EPS401, and this is on my enrichment program. Okay, I thought before we could begin, we could look at the structure and history of the assignment before we get into the issue. So in order to create an enrichment program through implementing Ferenstein's mediated learning theory, some background context is needed. This will be broken up into three parts: a summary on Rowan Ferenstein, his work and what he stood for, Ferenstein's theory of mediated learning, as well as the principles and pillars of Ferenstein's theory of mediated learning. Once all the history on Ferenstein and his theory of mediated learning is completed, we will move on to addressing the issue, which is challenge 3 that I chose: negative learner attitudes and poor relationships between the educator and the learner. Okay, Raven Ferenstein, the history. To pull from my essay, a quote from the Ferenstein Institute 2023. Professor Ferenstein formulated his theory on structural cognitive modifiability and mediated learning. His work with immigrants, refugees, and people with disabilities reinforced his belief that traditional IQ tests are inaccurate indicators of intelligence and success. Recognizing that individuals have unique learning styles, Ferenstein created his evaluation methods and teaching techniques to identify potential and foster new approaches to learning. Okay, Ferenstein's theory, which is mediated learning, that's the one we will be focusing on today. Ferenstein's theory of mediated learning highlights the importance of interactions between teachers and students, scaffolding techniques, fostering self-reliance in the form of independence, as well as providing relevant and meaningful learning. There are 5 key principles to Ferenstein's theory of mediated learning, which include mediation, intentionality, reciprocity, transcendence, and meaning. This theory places a strong emphasis on how social contact and guidance can improve learning outcomes by influencing cognitive processes. Mediated learning, which can be divided into the 4 pillars. To understand Ferenstein's theory of mediated learning, we need to look at the 4 principles or pillars that his theory is based upon. Number 1, the concept of structural cognitive modifiability, a concept that describes how the brain can alter and adapt to new experiences, knowledge, and external circumstances throughout life. And number 2, the importance of shaping and modifying a learning environment, which, for optimal learning and cognitive growth, the learning environment must be shaped and changed. Teachers and students can create an ideal atmosphere for academic success, social development, cognitive progress by reshaping and altering the learning environment. Okay, part 2, 4 pillars of mediated learning, looking at number 3, cognitive enhancement through mediated learning experience, which can be placed into an acronym MLE, states that improving cognitive capacities and functions through deliberate, directed interactions with a more experienced person is known as cognitive enhancement through mediated learning experience. Number 4, the last pillar of the mediated learning theory, metacognitive principles and the mediated learning experience. Mediated learning experience aims to develop metacognitive skills and awareness. That source, my apologies, I can't read it, states that learners gain greater awareness, independence, and strategy in their learning by incorporating metacognitive principles into mediated learning situations. This enhances cognitive functioning and fosters lifelong learning. Now, to get into the enrichment program that I created, it's titled Building Bridges. The objective of this enrichment program, titled Building Bridges, is to overcome negative learner attitudes and poor relationships between educators and learners in the South African teaching and learning context, using Raven Ferenstein's mediated learning theory. This program has been broken up into objectives, it's been broken up into overview, and it's been broken up into essential components and assessment and reflection at the end. The program overview, the duration of it should take 12 weeks total to see the entire thing through. The target group is aimed at foundation phase students, grade 1s to 3s, and their educators. By implementing this enrichment program, we can overcome negative learner attitudes and poor relationships between educators and learners, creating a supportive and inclusive learning environment that fosters cognitive growth and social development. Enrichment program duration. Okay, so this is where it goes from weeks 1 to 4, weeks 5 to 8, and weeks 9 to 12. Weeks 1 to 4 will focus on icebreaker and trust building activities, team building exercises. The reflective time during the week during the week 1 and 4 activities is where learners need to share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and learner one-on-one discussions, which then builds understanding. Looking into weeks 5 to 8, mediated learning experience training. This would be the implication and introduction to Feuerstein's MLE, which is mediated learning experience theory, which has been adapted for younger learners. Educators learn the MLE strategies, which include cognitive modification and bridging. Practice MLE in small groups, which would consist of role-playing scenario-based using visual aids and stories. As you can see, that has been adapted for the younger audience through the aid of visual aids and through role-playing. The final weeks 9 to 12, is the implementation and reflection part of the program. Educators apply the MLE in their classrooms, and learners engage in MLE facilitated activities, which include play-based learning and group projects. Reflective sessions where learners share experiences and educators discuss challenges and successes of the entire week's journey. Next part, the enrichment program, adding into the additional components. In order for this detailed enrichment program to be successful in combating negative learner attitudes and poor relationships between educators and learners, we will need to look at a few additional components, thus being the components listed below. Number 1 is parental involvement through workshops and volunteering opportunities, which is essential. Number 2, the community service projects where learners apply their mediated learning skills in real-life situations, such as helping in and around the school community facilities such as the gardens and the classrooms. Lastly, number 3, celebrating success through rewards and recognition is crucial for this enrichment program to succeed. Okay, then if we look at the next part of the enrichment program, which is mediated learning theory integration, that can be integrated through cognitive modification, which is where you challenge negative attitudes and you build self-efficiency. The second one is bridging, which is connecting learners' experiences to the learning material that has been taught throughout the weeks. And the third one is fostering critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity skills. Next slide, enrichment program, assessment and evaluation. This is the last journey of the enrichment program. In order to test if the whole of the enrichment program has been successful, educators need to look out and test or assess for the following: learner attitudes and relationships, both pre and post-program surveys, as well as observations. Educators need to be able to see a change within the students' attitudes and beliefs. Second one, educator self-assessment and peer evaluation. And the last one is program participation and engagement.